let's see. Well, we got one person in the room. We're probably going to need a few more. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and do this anyway. But I wanted some people to join in here. Well, at least I have one dedicated person in the room. It must be Carl. Could that be Carl, the one person in the room right now? Well, that's okay. Hello, Carl. So, everybody has heard this little story before about Carl Larson, all right? And Carl Larson goes way back to, the very beginning when Harry met Meghan, or Meghan met Harry, whatever. Anyway, Carl Larson is a pain in the ass, right? This is the man who continues to lie to my father and pretend he's his friend. I don't know why my dad keeps falling for it, because every single time Carl screws him over. Every time. And I just don't understand what it is with this guy. So what I'm talking about right now is Monday, this last Monday, right? Well, a couple days before that, my dad said that Carl had texted him and said he's going to be in town next month, going to some Guns N' Roses concert in Thailand, right? And he wanted to come visit in a month, right? Right. So I still don't know why my father answers his text, because every single time Carl is only out for one thing and one thing only: his personal fucking gain. When I think of what a shitbag of a person is, that's what name comes to mind. Because right after this texting thing, like this last Monday, right, I get a call from one of my friends who's a driver, and he says, there's somebody over at the Quest Hotel looking for me and my dad. And it just popped into my head immediately who this guy was. And I knew it was Carl. I sent my driver a picture of him. I said, is that the guy? And he goes, yes, that's him. So in the meantime, Carl is still texting my dad saying that he's not here, when I know he's here, right? And it just gets worse and worse and worse. The texting goes on. So what was it, the day before yesterday? The day before yesterday, yeah. That would have been Tuesday. He's still texting my dad saying, oh yeah, something about, or no, this was, Wednesday. No, it was Tuesday. Then he texts my dad, which I have all these texts saved, by the way, because I have wallpaper on this guy, Carl. So text my dad and says, oh yeah, I just got here. And he's already been here for a couple days before that. Oh, I just got here. I'm at the Mandarin. And that's just like bullshit. It's such bullshit that he would do this to my dad, setting him up, when all Carl wants to do is just take incriminating pictures and sell them to the scum papers and online papers that he sells to. And then they write their stories around him. So it's very possible today or tomorrow, there's going to be pictures of me walking my dad down the street to go get a haircut, and I knew it yesterday. I knew Carl was here. I knew Carl was here on Monday, right? And he's fucking bragging to my dad about how he's following me around to go, where I go play pool and have a couple of cold beers. He's bragging that I didn't even recognize him. It's a goddamn good thing I didn't recognize you, Carl, and I hope you're watching this. So it's just amazing how he lies and manipulates my father so he can come here and get his pictures and sell his fucking sleazy ass to anybody who will pay him, right? Now, let me step backwards about 2.5 years now. Carl, I did a show about Carl previously on my YouTube channel, when this man, right, has the audacity to harass me and my father continuously while my dad's in the hospital after his stroke. Just desperately trying to find out where we are, what hospital, what floor we're on, where, and he didn't know, and it was driving him crazy. But to make matters worse, this is the man that called my dad's maintenance guy, Armando. And I can say this because it's true. This man tried to get in my father's house while my dad was in the hospital, laying in bed after a stroke. This Carl Larson guy tries to get in my father's house. He wants something off my dad's coffee table, some papers or some pictures. But I know what he was after, right? And this man claims to be my dad's best friend. It's just disgusting that this man won't let my dad have peace, right? Not only does it screw up my father's day, it screws up my day, because now I got to look over my shoulder because we got little shitbag Carl trying to take my picture all the time, which he's already succeeded, obviously, right? And I'm sure he wants to just get incriminating pictures of me and my dad here in the Philippines so he can sell them to his shitbag fucking magazines to write their stories around. Excuse my language, guys, but I mean, you would not believe how many texts and documentation I have on this guy. And I just don't understand. You know, your Carl claims to be my father's best friend. It's just, who does that? You know? Friends don't do that, Carl. They just don't. You lie to my father, tell him that you're coming next month, and you're already here. It's just mind-boggling, you know? But to try and get into his house while he's in the hospital, to steal, right? Carl, to steal something from my father's house that doesn't belong to you. You know, probably should have had you dealt with down in Mexico for that. But it's just mind-boggling that this guy continues to claim to be my dad's best friend. I mean, my dad got so sick of this guy when, you know, Carl did this like YouTube channel. Oh, what was my best friend or something like that? I don't know what the hell it was called. I don't even remember, but my dad did like 2 or 3 shows and got so sick of Carl because it's all about Carl, right? Carl doesn't share. Carl doesn't do anything. Carl just wanted to use my father for his own well-being, right? Carl also, right, also started like an online, like a royal tour company, right? He was advertising this online, like where he's going to take people through Montecito and then take people down to my dad's house in Mexico to have tea and biscuits. Without anybody's authorization or permission and no knowledge. Nobody had any knowledge. He just did this on his own. This is what this man does. And I also read somewhere about, or somebody actually told me, I forget who it was, but they told me like Carl was an Uber driver, right? He used to be an Uber driver, but then got fired by Uber because he wanted to stop at his house while he had somebody in the car with him, a woman in the car. Where did I hear that from? I can't really remember, but allegedly, in my opinion, yeah, that's kind of creepy. What would you do in that situation? A strange man driving you your Uber fare wants to stop at his house, right? So, I'm glad I have a lot of friends here already, and I'm glad that everybody in town knows who this man is now, and a lot of police friends know who this man is now, you know, and I gave them certain information, so good luck with that, Carl. Good luck with that. I hope you don't get held up in immigration anywhere when they see your passport, but I just can't believe it. It's just mind-boggling. Who does that? I just don't understand, you know? So while I was walking my father to go get a haircut yesterday, this is exactly what happened, right? We had to stop about halfway to the barber, which is right inside the mall. And I had to run back and get my father's cane because his knee was starting to bother him. So I ran back. As I was running back or walking back, I see this little shit bag upstairs, like right above me in this little, in like the little terrace area for the entrance of the building, running right? Scurrying with something in his hand, and he runs around the corner, and there's nothing in the corner, and he looks at me, and I looked at him, and I said, oh, fuck. You know, I already knew it. So, yeah, then, you know, Carl boasts about how he followed me around. He's boasted to my father, which I have all those texts too, Carl. Boasted to my dad about, oh, wow, I was at 301 playing pool and Tom walked in and he didn't even recognize me. It's probably a really good thing, Carl, that I didn't recognize you. But, oh yeah, reset and watched you get a haircut. Here, I'm gonna show you guys. These are my dad's texts right here. Oh, and this guy wants to be my friend. I don't like you, Carl. I've never liked you. I'm never gonna like you. And just, you know, oh my God, you have no idea. You were with your son the whole time. This is Carl's text to my father. You were with your son the whole time. I don't think he is mad. I was playing pool at 301 Sports Bar. Yeah, so this is Carl following me around. And I knew yesterday when I got in the cab, I already knew he was following me again, and the day before. And I've known he was here since Monday, you know? You're playing with fire, bitch. Oh, excuse my language. Did I say that out loud? Bar, and you walked in, didn't even recognize me. And then I saw you guys at the mall and you were looking right at me. But like I say, I didn't say hi because your son was there next to you. Yeah, smart move, Carl. That's all I gotta say. And then I told you that I had to leave to the airport around 1:45. Well, you know, you told him that you weren't here before on Monday, right? And the day before that, you told him that you weren't here, right? Then you are here. So this is you just straight out lying because my guy Alvin, the guy that you talked to, who probably gave you a ride to the mall here, from what I understand, but didn't tell you exactly where I live. So, yeah, Annette. See, that's a good point right there, Annette. I wouldn't be. See, Carl has his head so far up Megan's ass, it's not even funny, and he always has. And every time something's going on, you know, poof, magically Carl appears. Every time, you know? So, but probably just sent here just to get some kind of incriminating pictures. That's your whole purpose in life, is to screw people over, Carl. Take their picture, sell them to shitbag magazines, and then they write stories around them. You know? Nice life. Nice karma. Dude, you're a freak. I hope you're listening, Carl. This is just the beginning of the campaign against you, by the way. Just the tip of the iceberg. So hopefully you get some good press and PR out of it. That you're harassing an 80-year-old man and taking advantage of an 80-year-old man, lying to him, saying that you're his friend, and then you turn around and just take pictures of him. Just to screw him over, right? You've been doing this for how long now? 6 years? Yeah. So, and I do believe that Carl is famous for getting in celebrities' faces, right? Pissing them off so they touch him or push him, and then he sues them. Nice MO, dude. Nice guy. I don't even know how you sleep at night. I'm surprised you haven't been hit by a truck with your karma, you know? Also, guys, Carl is the guy, all right? I'm gonna tell you another little story here about how I met Carl. And this is back when I lived up in Oregon in Grants Pass. I had just pulled into my driveway from work, right? Get out of my truck, and here comes this like white, like Cadillac or Suburban type vehicle, him and some blonde girl, right? I didn't know Carl at the time. I went up, being the nice guy that I am, and I said, hey, are you guys lost? Do you need something? And then I hear her British accent, and I'm like, and then Carl gets out of the driver's seat, goes to the back door, right? I don't know what he's doing back there, but he's grabbing what turned out to be a book and a camera, right? So I'm like, then he comes around the back of the car, and I'm standing there. I just got off work. I'm tired. I want to take a shower, right? And Carl's like got his camera, and I said, hey, don't take my picture. I said, make an appointment like everybody else, you know? And he keeps raising his camera and trying to take my picture, right? I told him, I said, if you take my picture, you're probably gonna get your ass kicked right here in the street, right? But this is Carl's MO. All Carl wants to do is piss people off so he can say, oh, he pushed me, and it turned into a little whining little candy ass crybaby. You know, you're not a man, Carl. You are, you know what you are. So make a long story kind of short, but it's actually a really interesting story. So I get a call, what was it, later the next day or something like that. And it's like somebody posing to be like an attorney for AMI or whoever Carl sells his shitty fucking pictures to, right? Oh yeah, you assaulted Carl. Did you do this? Did you do that? I said, no, but it's a good thing I did it, you know? I mean, but I was going to, yeah. If he would have raised that camera, yeah, I probably would have stuffed it up his butt. But it's really funny because I don't think even Carl has heard this story before, that, wow, we actually found out where Carl was staying that night. And Carl will remember this until the day he dies. But we found out where Carl was, so it's like, oh yeah, so what we do, we called Carl's room and played a recording for him. Hey Carl, I'm a man with a particular set of skills. Now I'll tell you something, guys. I have never seen somebody get so scared in my life, because everybody knows that, like, when you're in a motel or a hotel, there's a little windowsill there, right? And the curtains, right? So you see the curtains open and there's Carl's little head looking out into the parking lot. That was pretty hilarious. But it just goes to show you, you don't fuck with people. You don't mess with people, because you're not the only one who can track people, Carl. You're not the only one who has friends. You're not the only one who is like, could be one step ahead of you at all times, all right? So 2 seconds after he peeks out the window, he comes flying out of his room on his phone in the parking lot, looking around. You know, I'm surprised he didn't have a hot, steamy load in his pants at that point. You know, I think, yeah, him and somebody else shits their pants a lot too. Yeah, another paparazzi guy shits himself all the time too. Yeah, what is it with you guys? And then the girl comes out of the room, right? And she's on her phone looking around, and we're just laughing our asses off, just sitting there in the car watching. That was funny. Then they went back into the room simultaneously. Then they came back out of their rooms with their suitcase, put them in the car, and they drove away. Yeah. Happy birthday, Carl. Whenever it's your birthday, I want you to think of that story, okay? Because you are just like the lowest of the low, right? You try and steal from a man while he's in the hospital, claiming to be his best friend, lying to him continuously just to sneak up and get his picture. You know, I mean, how far up Megan's ass is your head? Can you taste what she makes on her cooking show, Carl? I don't know. I'm just curious. Alex said hello. Yvonne Simpson, Carl Larson. Let me show you who Carl Larson is. And I would also like everybody to do me a big favor. I know there's a very low head count in the room right now, but a lot more people are going to see this video when it's posted. So let me just show you guys who this man looks like, or who he is, because right here. Oh, sorry about the ring there, guys. Let me get that out of the way. Oh, it's still there. Anyway, there you go. That's Mr. Carl Larson. Now, I went so far as to having his picture put up at the guard stations and all the guards on all their phones when we were in Mexico, because of the continuing harassment from him and him trying to steal and get into my father's house while my dad and I are in the hospital with his stroke. That was like crossing the line at that point. I mean, You would not believe. I should probably post every single one of his text messages from the hospital, my correspondence, my replies. I'll post them all, and everybody can have a field day looking at them because enough, Carl, I don't wish bad things upon anybody, and it's, if you were on a plane by yourself, going to Tokyo or going home or wherever you're going, boy, it'd just be great if it just got struck by lightning. I mean, I don't, if you were flying a plane by yourself, just by yourself alone, it would just be wonderful if it got struck by lightning. Nobody else on the plane, because I can't see how anybody would want to be around you anyway. So I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. And I just want to just make it very clear that for what you did, Carl, making my life uncomfortable, making my father uncomfortable, lying to my father, I don't know. I just, you have to live with yourself on that. But I'm going to tell everybody in the entire world repeatedly about you and who you are as a person, Carl. You gallivant around pretending to be this wonderful man, bullshitting everybody. Oh, this, oh, that, my son this, my son that. I'm going to take my son. Is Tom still mad at me? My dad told you not to come around because of me, but you do it anyway, And, since Monday, I've had to look over my shoulder for you, right? But your conniving little cheap candy ass pussy whipped piece of shit that you are, who does that? Leave my father alone, Carl. Leave my father alone. Let him enjoy whatever time he's got left, right? Instead of lying to him, taking his picture and fucking joking about it like it's fun. Maybe fun for you because you're a scumbag, right? That's what scumbags do. You are a scumbag, Carl. Leave my father alone. Fuck. I mean, don't you think that we have enough things to do without having to worry about little shitbags like you taking our picture and selling them for whatever you get for them just so you can make money and write stories about them? Nice guy, nice friend. I don't know anybody like you. I've never hung out with anybody like you. I do not like you. I never will like you. And honestly, Carl, if you come near my father again and I see you, that's on you, dude. That is on you. Because I will protect my family and my father from shitbags like you, Carl. 100% guaranteed. But anyway, so that, guys, I was going to, do a lot more things. I was going to record a couple more things, but then all this just fell into my lap again. I hope Carl gets on an airplane all by himself and has a great trip. Wherever you go, Carl. Who? Karl Larsen. Hi from Arizona. Hello, Mira. Hey. Yeah, I showed you guys. Karl Larson. He's like an independent photographer who probably just mostly works for Megan. Probably in my opinion, because that's why Carl tried to break into my house, probably to get something that my father has that Megan wants really bad. Oh man. But here, I'll show you guys again. That's lovely Karl Larson. Yeah. And then there's like I said, he did a YouTube channel, right? And just coerced my father into just doing it with him. Like, oh, it was called Remarkable Friendship. So here we go again. Remarkable Friendship. Who comes up with Remarkable Friendship when they stab you in the back continuously and use you for their own personal gain? I remember my dad was he just still didn't get it from Carl, because Carl's a manipulator, right? He'll tell you whatever you want to hear and be your best buddy, and then take your picture and sell it without you knowing. Every time that my father went to go meet him, I was there. I followed you, Carl, and I made sure that you weren't there with photographers to take my dad's picture. And I specifically remember going to a certain restaurant called Ochuna. Yes, I was sitting in the parking lot, Carl. I watched you pull up. Yeah, like I said, you're not the only one who can be sneaky. And if there would have been anything wrong with that picture, you would have been the next star in the fucking Tijuana Donkey Show, pal. But when you did show up, I've never seen such a blubbering, whining, crying, pathetic excuse of a man in my life. Because when you got out of the car and you went up to go talk to my dad because he was blowing you off for so long because you keep screwing him over and using him and begging him to do more YouTube channel shows with you, Carl, it's like I watched you sit there and blubber. And so did the people at the restaurant. I thought somebody was murdering a harbor seal. You were bellowing so loud. Dude. Wow. And that explains everything of who you are as a person. Blubbering little coward idiot. Yeah, Cynthia, Carl does suck. Oh, that's what I wanted to tell everybody. Everybody who's in this room right now, and more people will watch this show later, because normally I get an average. I know it's been like a month, but I did one 2 days ago. But then I got tied up with this crap. You know, I got to do recon on Karl Larson because he won't stop stalking my father, right? But everybody who's in here right now and watching this, could you all do me a favor and please share this video on every social media platform that you have. Share it, share it, share it. Just tell everybody. Put this video out there on every platform. And I hope everybody who watches this later and tunes in later and the views start coming in later, please, everybody, this is very important to me. Share this video everywhere, right? Because I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do a lot more than this. And Carl, you suck, and everybody knows it. You're harassing an elderly man who survived a heart attack and a stroke, who barely walks around any distances, you know, without his knees hurting, and you harass this man when he's trying to enjoy the last years of his life. And this is what you do. You lie to him and you use him, right? I hope nobody buys your pictures, you know? I hope, you know what I hope for you, Carl. You know you can ignore him. This is garbage, not falling for it. No, you don't. You can ignore him. This is garbage, not falling for it. No, this is not garbage. This is true. It's 100% true. I have all the documentation. I have documentation on Carl going back 6 years, right? This is not garbage. And you know, I could try to ignore him, but when you guys figure out how the paparazzi work, right, and what they do to you, and they sneak around and they follow you around, usually in tag teams, right? 2 cars, maybe 3 cars. They're all on the phone at the same time. Wherever you drive, and you know they're following you. They did this to me in Oregon a few times. And I just know, because I just have a feeling when somebody's following me. And I'm right every single time. When I got in my cab yesterday, I knew somebody was following me. I knew Carl was here. So I already knew, but God, Carl, you should have stayed at 301 a little bit longer. Yeah, you should have stayed there, Carl. But anyway, what they just tag team you, they follow you, and they don't stop. And all they want is your picture. They want to get a rise out of you. Carl wants to get a rise out of people so he can sue them, right? Everything I've said on this video is true and 100% true. So go ahead and sue me, Carl. okay? Because you're the one who should be sued. You're the one who should have a restraining order put on you. You're the one who probably will have a restraining order put on you here in the Philippines when I'm done with that. So can't wait for you to come back. But it's just amazing how you just like leave this man alone. He's already been through enough. And you just don't do it because you're a greedy little shit, you know, who cries like a little baby. Unbelievable. You're not a man, right? You piss people off so they get mad at you, touch you, and then you sue them. Yeah. Anyway, Creepy Carl. Let's call him Creepy Carl. Harassment. Yeah, it's total harassment. Total harassment. Like I said, you know, I've had enough things to do. I've got enough things to do in the course of a day, let alone to have to worry about people like Carl. So everybody give a big shout out to Carl. Share this video everywhere because, like I said, today or tomorrow, there's going to be internet pictures of me and my dad walking down the street, probably me at 301 playing pool, talking to my friends. So there you go. Heads up, guys. They're going to be out there, and just know the story behind those pictures. And when you see those pictures, I want you to know how those pictures came about. Okay? A dirty man who cares nothing but about what... Maybe that's why him and Megan get along so well, because they only care both about themselves, and that's it. They don't care who they hurt or what they have to do to sell pictures and take pictures just to hurt people, just for money. You know? So maybe that's why Carl and Megan get along so well. Yeah, that makes more sense than anything. And usually when things do click together like that, then they start forming a puzzle and all the pieces click together. Plain and simple. That's the obvious thing. So I know you guys were looking for other videos and stuff. Like I said on Tuesday, I think. Yeah, Tuesday I said I was going to be doing more videos and stuff like that, but I got preoccupied on this, but I'm still on it. Still setting things up. I just didn't have much time, but lots of good things coming, lots of comedy, lots of pre-recorded stuff. So I love you guys for tuning in. This is a short 32-minute video so far, and that's what I wanted to do, was get on here and say, when you see the pictures out there online, remember how they were taken and remember where they came from. And please like and share and subscribe and send this video to everybody. And I would really appreciate it. And like I always say, you know, I love you guys. You guys are awesome. And I really appreciate you guys hanging in there and supporting the Markles. So, and I'm still doing this on my phone, you guys, but I'll go back and I'll hit some of these comments and read some of these comments after this video is uploaded, okay? Love you. Have a great day. Always tell your loved ones you love them, hug them, tell them you love them 10 times, because life is too short, and that's the most important thing in life, is your friends and your family, because that's all you can really count on, truthfully, and that's it. And your word, by the way. I will thank you, Cynthia. Thank you. I'll say hi to my dad for you. Thank you so much. Bridget, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Yvonne, thank you. Craig, Tom, be thinking about you. Appreciate that, man. Summer, I don't know, people can be creepy, but imagine if people know they can profit from the photos. And that's all it's about. You know, Carl will sell pictures of his mother if he could, you know, in compromising positions. I wouldn't put anything past him, you know. But the problem with Carl is the way he goes about it, right? He lies, manipulates, and uses and tells you things and tries to be your best friend and then screws you over. As a matter of fact, another story, just hang there for a few minutes, guys. I've got another story that just came to mind. So when my father, right, got screwed over by Coleman Rayner. Now I'm going to say that again. Jeff Rayner, the ruthless paparazzi, the stories on the Daily Beast. Let me show you what that looks like. okay? Because I'm gonna lead into another story that actually involves Carl also, and the way this little dumbass mind, the way his mind thinks, okay? Let me just show you here something real quick. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Oh, I may have to pull it up all over again. Yes, I do. Okay. 1 second, guys. Okay. From what I understand, Jeff Rayner and Coleman Rayner and his lawyer, Armin Harpatian, they love this story more than anything. So I'm going to continue to boast this story also. Ruthless paparazzi. By the way, that's a Google search. And guess what comes up? Right here. This guy, Jeff Rayner. This is a story in the Daily Beast. So when you Google ruthless paparazzi, see that guy right there on the right? That's Jeff Rayner. That's another special case. So, this story in the Daily Beast is about how the ruthless paparazzi tried to derail the royal wedding. Now, this is right before the wedding. This goes back, right? This is when Jeff Rayner, right? He called Samantha repeatedly and talked Samantha getting my father to take pictures because they wanted to make my dad look good. This is Jeff's, I have all the texts and all the paperwork, all the transcripts on this also. All the conversations between Samantha and Jeff. Jeff manipulating, lying to my sister, saying that they're gonna make my dad look really good. They wanna put him in a good light for the wedding, right? And they joked about it. They joked about it. Read this article. Everybody, I encourage you to please read the Daily Beast, The Ruthless Paparazzi, how Jeff Rayner tried to derail the royal wedding. And in the article, they laugh and joke about it, right? So instead of making my dad look good, what did they do? They made him look like a chump, right? They took the worst possible pictures that you could ever take. Jeff Rayner even set this up in like the camera footage from an internet cafe in Mexico. The picture in front of some shack in Mexico with a guy taking my dad's measurements for a suit. My dad doesn't work out. My dad doesn't jog. And they take pictures, they make my dad like run with these dumbbells. And they take pictures of it, right? Claiming that they're gonna make my dad look good, right? And it pissed my father off because they made him look like a chump. So my dad opened up a lawsuit against them, right? And it went on and then my father had a stroke, and it just I had to continue the case and continue the case and continue the case, and I was trying to figure out everything, and it just turned into a cluster. But the point I'm trying to make with this is that my dad, after being screwed over by Coleman Rayner, right, and made an ass out of, right? My dad made a statement in Tom Bauer's book. What was it? I forget. I forget which book it was. Hold on a second. Oh, my dad made a statement in there because, you know, my dad is, you know, he's got a little bit of a temper. He can have a little bit of a temper when you cross him, right? So, what was the name of that Tom Bauer's book? Tom Bauer's book. Beckham's Revenge. I don't know. Let me see here real quick. I think it was Revenge. Yeah, it was probably Revenge or something. It was the one where my dad made a statement in that book because Jeff Rayner and Coleman Rayner screwed him over so bad. My dad said, if I ever became terminal with cancer, I would kill him. Okay? I could kill him, right? For what he did, for them totally screwing him over, right? So then to make a long story short, right? Me continuing the lawsuit, right? They thought they were all done with it, right? And they just knew. And these people lie in court on court documents. Okay, that's what's surprising me is how many people are in people's pockets with money, especially in the LA court system, right? So Armin Harpatian, Jeff's lawyer, right? They're all just like laughing and making a joke about it, right? Thinking it's funny, just totally taking advantage because they already know they already have everybody in their pockets over there. So me trying to get a continuance to carry it on and make a showing, right? These people, Armin Harpatian lied to the judge's face on the record, right? I went and tried to get all these transcripts and I could only get some of them, right? I've got quite a few of the transcripts that I ordered from the court because I know what I said and the court knows what I said, but mysteriously some of them are missing, right? So what was it? Armin's first lies, right? And I can't even believe a lawyer would print a lie on a court document, which I have, by the way, and I'm going to be posting that also. Armin Harpatian says that he told the judge to the face of the judge, whatever her name was, I forget, or commissioner or whoever it was, that he served my dad in Mexico, which never happened. That we didn't find out about this until we found out in the press that dad had lost his case, or now dad has a restraining order against him. And where he got the restraining order was because I think Armin and Jeff got really pissed off because I continued the court case. So what do? They go back and they've pulled this sentence out of Tom Bauer's book where it says, my father, right, said that I could just kill Jeff. If I ever become terminally ill, right, I could kill him for him screwing me over so bad. Yeah. So what does Jeff put down? What does Armin, a lawyer, right, who's supposed to follow things by the law and do things by the law, as far as I know, puts down that my father was going to use a gun. And Jeff was so scared and feared for his life from a 80-year-old man with a cane because of something that my dad said in a book. Coin a phrase. Coin a phrase, I could just kill him for doing that. Or I could just kill her for doing that. Oh my God, I can't believe you. I could just kill you. Oh, you got dirt all over my car. I could just kill you. Well, you spilled a milkshake on the rug. I could just kill you for, It's a common coin up phrase. So my dad puts that in Tom Bauer's book, right? If I ever become terminally ill, right, I would kill him. So Jeff Rayner goes and puts this on a court document, right? That my dad, he fears for his life because he thinks my dad is going to use a gun. Okay? No mention of a gun anywhere in that book. My dad doesn't even own a gun, right? Armin Harpatian, a lawyer, right? Far as I know, lying on court documents, isn't that a crime? Yeah, right? Where does it say a gun in Tom Bauer's book? It doesn't say it anywhere, right? And Armin Harpatian, he should be disbarred for that. He should lose his practice and his license for that. But apparently it's okay if you have money, and you're, giving hand jobs to the judge in the back room or something. God knows what's happening. I don't know. Just an idea. How could anybody be that favorable for you? Unbelievable. So so this is what happens, right? So all of a sudden we find out that there's a restraining order against my father in LA County, filed by Jeff and Armin Harpatian, right? Because of the Tom Bauer book, right? A restraining order. So this, I tried to appeal this and I just got laughed at. Continuously laughed at, right? So crossing the border, living in Mexico and crossing the border, right, to go to the States, go for medical appointments and shopping and errands and things that need to be done in the States while living in Mexico, right? We get stopped in secondary every single time for 2 years. So late to medical appointments, late, just such a pain in the ass, right? Because you can't just cross over. You have to go in secondary and sit there, let them look through your car, and all because Jeff Rayner crapped himself, apparently, is where I heard that from somebody too, that he actually soiled himself in public or whatever. God knows. I mean, these photographers, you got one of them over here bawling like a little schoolgirl, crying like she skinned her knees, because, thought my dad was mad at him. And then you got this one over here claiming he crapped himself. Or another reporter said that he crapped himself. Yeah, I guess it goes with the job. Yeah. So I'm getting there. So we just have to wait for the 2 years, and then it just expired all by itself. Armin even went there and said, he told the judge that, Tom Markle Jr. has a YouTube channel, right? And he made a funny video about a guy named Jeffy Boy Raynard, right? Jeffy Boy, right? Not Jeff, but Jeffy Boy Raynard, right? Of soiled underwear. You guys can go back and look it up. It's still up there on YouTube. It's a while back. It's about a year and a half. Yeah, about a year and a half, 2 years old. So Armin's crying to the judge saying that I'm making fun of them, right? I'm making comedy and parody like everybody else on my YouTube channel. And dragging me into a restraining order case against my father, asking me, don't you have guns? Don't you do this? Don't you have a YouTube channel? I told him straight out, it's not about me. This has nothing to do with me. A lot of people have YouTube channels. This is the kind of like crybaby freaks that are running around in the legal system, just like they have to lie, right? Lawyers that lie to get their point across or to get what they want or who they got to pay or whatever the hell they got to do, right? So not too much longer after the restraining orders in effect, right? Here comes Carl Larson again, right? Magically appearing, right? Just wanting to be everybody's friends and wanting to say, hey, Tom, we could make a lot of money. Let's do a story over here. And I was joking him and I go, what would be a great picture, Carl, is like me standing on the exit of Montecito where Megan lives, dressed up like a homeless guy with a cardboard sign saying, take a picture with Meghan Markle's brother for $1. Now that's a good picture. That would sell worldwide. But what does Carl want to do? He wants to take a picture of me and my dad at a shooting range. Yeah, a shooting range. I've got a great idea. Let's take a picture of you coming out of a shooting range. And I go, yeah, great picture, Carl. Yeah, with the restraining order, mentioning of a gun. Fuck off. This is, it just, Carl is the never-ending gift that keeps on giving. It's like, he reminds me of a hemorrhoid on somebody's ass. It's just never going to go away. It's always going to be a pain, an itch, and a burn. Good job, Carl. You now resemble a hemorrhoid. So I know I've taken up plenty of your guys' time, but like I said, I love it when you guys tune in. I super appreciate it. Let's do a little recap here. So like I said, there's going to be some photos out there by Carl Larson, probably tomorrow, maybe even today, of me and my dad walking down the street to go get my dad a haircut. I busted Carl or his little, whoever he was with, or he had a baseball cap on. I didn't really get a good look at his face, but I did catch him red-handed. Not at 301, but it's nice to know, Carl, yeah, you follow people around and you probably bribe people for money. Where's Tom normally go, or where do they normally go? Or, Carl, I know you were staying at the Mandarin. I already knew that. I knew when you were there, So anyway, quick little recap. So please share this video to every platform on social media that's available to you. I would really appreciate that. I love you guys. I super appreciate everybody tuning in and showing support. You guys are awesome. I will get back, to doing what I do best and making good, funny videos. So, like I said, sidetracked, but I promised you I'd be here, and I'm still here, and I'm going to be here tomorrow also, and the day after. All right? Love you guys. Hug your loved ones. Tell them you love them. Be safe. Appreciate every day. Random acts of kindness go a long way in this world. And we'll see you on the next one. All right? Later, guys.